Hi. This is called Upon Seeing Again the Thriving. When I start talking, be prepared to be hit by something I want you to know. Today, the streets seem green with glow, and I looked at all the people. The men and the women, the young and the old. I told them my name, and I asked them theirs, and they told me poplars. They told me the dictionary and knew it as terrific. They spoke to me of autumn leaves, sentimental spectacular, park benches and blue jays, collisions of flowers with gaslight anthems. Now I celebrate it. I ruin the ruins. I ruin all the naysayers, all the frowny-faced skeptics. Life is so messy. I continue to be charmed, and you continue to be charming because you are someone I love. And yes, I do feel terrible at times, like a fuck-up descending a staircase, woozy with nectar and too much trouble. Frustration I get, and discouraged I get. I get too that sometimes good judgment in an instant requires clarity and everything else requires forgiveness and faith. And also, I realize here the abstraction I'm winging, so to put it more concretely, I am happy being beside you as fraying as we are. The grass is forever. The sky is sky-colored, and later, when we're not together, you will call me, and I will pick up the phone, and we will talk for hours about the death of a star or the death of death, our connected disconnectedness or disconnected connectedness. This seems correct and ridiculous and true. I'm so glad you get it. You get me, and I get you. The end, but a glitch in the nervous man's system. And tomorrow, the morrow, even weirder. Two hands clapping. Yeah! So I'm just going to read 4 poems. So this is the second of those 4. This is and the first 2 are from this new book of mine, Debacle. This is called To You at 40 from me right now. You are 4 and I am 40. And it is Friday at 4:40 in September 2010. I've been waiting for this moment to tell you some things, or maybe this moment has been waiting for me. It's hard to know much of anything, but everything seems in perfect alignment, and I am not one to argue with perfection when I can find it, though I do take issue with the way things seem. Here is a grain of salt for you to take me. The 2 of us kicking a ball in the yard. This morning we were running late, and when you couldn't find your rabbit, you cried, so I helped you look for her. But then I couldn't find her either. You took a pony to school to show your friends instead, and I came back to a mountain of work and looking some more for your rabbit. Another cup of black coffee. Another list to check off this lucky and frustrating life, this stressed out every second, this incredible constant scribble. At breakfast you made a drawing for me and we talked about expression. I showed you pictures in a Cy Twombly monograph. You said, those are just like me, and then one of the sculptures you compared to the bones in your arm, and I thought of dinosaurs but didn't bring it up. And when I showed you the Basquiat drawings, you pointed to one with a coal black face. That's me when I'm angry. And a few pages later, you were tickled by a monster with one pink ear colored pink. Why is that one pink, you asked? And I said, because expressive works aren't necessarily about the way things look, but about the way the artist feels and thinks. You made another drawing with bright, fast strokes. Rabbit exploding with a runaway tongue, devil blue, devil in a suit with a contract. Everything happens so fast I can't take it. Yesterday is already tomorrow, and the next day the grass and the leaves on the trees stay green, and then suddenly it's Halloween, it's July. I'm in China, you're in Martha's Vineyard, you're at King's Island. If you're reading this poem, I am 76, or maybe I am not. You miss me, or I miss you, or we miss each other, even in the midst of being together. It is always this way with people. Call me right away when you get this. I always want to read that poem because I love the experience of sort of documenting that morning. And to me, it always seems really sort of joyful until I read it, and then I'm like, that's the fucking darkest thing I've ever written. Except for this. It's called The Shadow of the Valley. The shadow of the valley is a placeholder for the valley. A reminder that a body stands between those stands of bleachers, or this stand of trees, or the neighborhood watchers standing around watching birds fly back and forth from their nests to the gardens in every Westwood neighborhood, all the while casting shadows that somehow don't look like birds, but like people wondering what's going on. Like Marvin Gaye in his song, What's Going On, from his album of the same name. On the cover, he's wearing a red wool hat, an image my friend used in something he wrote and then later read in front of an audience in Iowa to get them to participate. When I say red wool hat, he said, you say Marvin Gaye. Red wool hat, he said. Marvin Gaye, we said, got murdered by his father in 1984 under somewhat confusing circumstances. But there was a gun involved and an argument, so how confusing is it? It isn't like we don't know what happens when people pull triggers at people even in broad daylight, listening to The Clash singing Somebody Got Murdered, which was a song on their triple album set Sandinista. The Sandinistas were socialist rebels who came to power in Nicaragua in 1979 by overthrowing Anastasio Somoza Debayle, a dictator friendly to the United States. The United States has been friendly with lots of dictators. Anastasio Somoza Debayle was only one of them. Saddam Hussein was another. Dictators usually meet horrible ends. Many videos on the internet attest to this. Recently, the immediate events preceding the death of Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi were captured on a cell phone video camera. He has blood running down his face and can be heard to say, "Do you not know the difference between right and wrong?" Later he was ended with a gun, or maybe many of them, no one really knows. Sometimes dictators are ended with guns, but often, as was the case with Gaddafi, they are beaten first or dragged through the streets. I would not like to be dragged through the streets or beaten by a mob or ended with a gun. I would not like to be ended at all, as I bet you also would not like to be ended, though we both know that someday will be the last one we get. And this often causes some confusion and trepidation and fear because nobody knows what death is. But it's pretty certain that on that day, we will be utterly alone. Even if there are people who we love right beside us, they will not go with us. If we're lucky, they will sing us an old favorite song or open a window so we can listen to the birds. So this last poem I'm going to read, thank you so much. I'm really, this is amazing, like on a Thursday night, all you people come out and like reimagine the world and it becomes something incredible. And I'm glad to see my old friends, Sally Ball and Shauna Hannibal and Russell Dillon and Peg and Cass, and man, and to meet some new people, and thank you. I'm going to read this one piece from this long, I wrote a poem this summer that's 160 pages long. It's called Radiant Action. I was reading Charlotte's Web to my daughter last year, and and as we were reading it, there's this part where Charlotte the spider sends Templeton the barnyard rat out to get more text for her web, so that she can save Wilbur the pig from being slaughtered. And Templeton comes back with an advertisement for laundry detergent, which says something like, "And now with even more new Radiant Action." And I loved that phrase, Radiant Action. I loved how sort of warm and weird it was. And I said to Agnes at the time, I was like, "God, that's a great phrase." And she was like, "Yeah, it's all right." So, but I thought about the fact that, like, you know, anytime we engage in art, anytime we go to a reading, we're participating in some kind of radiant action, and the tendrils go out, and we never have any idea what's going to happen as a result of that. So I wanted to sort of draw that out in this poem. So this is from Radiant Action. All my friends back east, all my friends out west, and me in the middle of something sprawling forever. Great blue lake and the sound of jackhammers, the silence of stars and wind turbines, horizon lines, a surging resurgence of wave lap and head spinning, pinwheels, sunflowers, helicopter flyovers. I watch the sun dipping its face in the water, pink, yellow, white, a transitional color, and you walking under the grass in my dream, another radiant action, another source among sources, Eleusinian, the mysteries deepen, only puzzles get solved. Little red-beaked birds with yellow-tipped wings, finches, I suppose, but I could always be wrong. It's even probable I'm wrong. What do I know about birds, or the responsibilities of co-pilots, of ghosts, or the law of conservation of energy, of vicious or generous or mossy human being? All my friends, hairs piled on the tops of their heads to resemble every hardcore show I've ever attended in a basement, in chorus, every book I've ever read about giving oneself over to the absurdity of belief, especially when it's contrary to all observable evidence and testable hypotheses, especially in the midst of these lives we bleed, magnetic and pulsing, our minds and our bodies, such marvelous machines. Leaping with mercy and sufferance and medicine, clutter and all the impossibly imagined weird worlds spread out beneath us. Oh, act city of waiting, of writing for something unsaid and unsayable, unknown and unknowable. The end looms large at dawn and at dusk. The little girl plays with a dying green balloon, talks to herself, and when I smile at her, she stops, says, "What? I'm talking to myself." And she's totally right on. We're all talking to ourselves, and our talking makes the difference. But it's what we say, and how we say it, the words we use, and the atmosphere that carried in, the creation or destruction we're carried away in, love and breath and 1,000 glowing muses. It starts the blues, then builds to a scream, harmonious the dissonance that we couldn't if we tried to. Then immersion in the trying, in the throbbing, the second, the backdrop of secrets, a before and an after, a silence, then a noise, and the airiness all over us, and everything's decidedly different. Sorry somehow. Still flying radically. Still falling mightily.